We are live. What is good? What is good? What is good? I am Damo, the political plug. This is the Chop Up Show. We like to thank y'all for joining us on another Thursday. The great conversation. I'm here with one of my favorite people, Toya G. How
What's
are you
up?
doing
What's
today,
good?
sis?
I'm well, chilling these summer days. It's heat catching up to California now. It's hot everywhere. Ain't no running from it. So we are just out here trying to stay cool and keep it cute. So that's what I've been on. That's it. That's all.
Hey, that's it's the mantra to live by. You feel
Yeah,
me?
that's it.
Summer day waning down too. And what's crazy about summer out here is because we don't. It starts getting hotter here later in the summer for everybody else. So it feels like when the summer really just getting started, like it's running out. But it is what it is. We got a more important dialogue, more important conversation for y'all today.
Actually,
Outside.
we got a two piece for him a little bit.
We do got the two piece. We do got a two piece. So we got the conversation. As y'all can see, we talking about the top 7 ways social media is making us bad people.
Terrible
We
people.
doing it. We like terrible people. We're not doing the right thing. Our society is not looking its best with social media being at the helm. And we're gonna end the show with an ask to chop up. We got somebody that asked us to speak on something in particular. Shout out to Danielle. Shout out to Edna.
Hey, what's up, Ed?
Appreciate y'all for joining us, and everybody else. Make sure y'all say what's up as y'all come in. But with that being said, let's get into this important conversation. Toya, go ahead and get us started with the social child.
I mean, well, kind of in the vein and in the spirit of what where you started with social media and just kind of it being this thing that we love and that makes us good and that makes us interesting. It keep it interesting and interested. It keeps us connected. It gives us the pulse on what's going on around us, and so that's all well and good. But I don't know, yo. Like with this last round of Carly Russell conversation, which we'll get into her a little bit more specifically, but we're not gonna anchor the whole conversation around her situation. But y'all know our timeline's been going crazy with her experiences and what's been happening with the disappearance, and so we taking it in, and I'm with it, and I'm following it, and everybody's like protect Black women, and everybody's like we got to look for her, we got to find her, and this is crazy, and human trafficking and all these things, and then we find out the opposite. That's when the jokes start coming. That's when a lot of the just real mean spirit, and I don't know, like it just as it has many times before, it just kind of hit me that social media is like, and the internet in general is just a real terrible place, man. It's
It's
really
tough. It's
it's
tough.
disheartening because
Yeah.
and I say this, and I want to put this disclaimer out here. You know what I'm saying? Like, we love the internet, and we guilty. You know what I'm saying? We're not above. We're not.
We
You know what
here.
I'm
Like that's how
saying?
we connecting to y'all.
You know what I mean? And so obviously we have some space and some appreciation for it, and we probably participate in a lot of the not the worst parts of it. I don't like to think, but we are products of our environments. If
We
we may
are.
say so ourselves. But I also try to do right and try to make sure that I'm a good citizen of the World Wide Web, and that I'm not
Just a
doing
good
like just
person. You know what I'm saying? Good internet person.
and the internet is a fun place. For a lot of people, it's an escape. Day to day, to real life is enough. So when we can pop that app open and see what our people doing, see what our faves is doing, it's a special thing. But this feeling and this sensation of damn, we are terrible. Just it is. This is not a new thought. This is not breaking news, but it's a conversation that I felt like we wanted to sit and have, or we should sit and have. just because it's wicked. Shout out to Avenge. Shout out to Frederick. Shout out to Danielle. Shout out to Dina. I know Plug already said what's up to y'all, but it's always a blessing to see y'all in the building. Make sure y'all hitting that thumbs up. Make sure y'all hitting that share button so that other people know we up tonight. And we getting into the social media shit because so everybody got something. I know one person. I think in my immediate kind of regular conversational life who ain't got no social media. Besides that, everybody clued and everybody tapped in. So this got a little.
It's with something.
Yeah. Shout out to J Universe.
And when it came to the Carly Russell conversation, like I'm one of those people that's kind of like burnt out from them type of things. Like when it's things going crazy on the internet, I'm always the last to know because when the internet goes crazy, I kind of pull back a little bit. Now, well, let me tell you about like more of like the popular social shit, like the political shit. I'm on top of it. Like all the news that come out, I'm on it. But when it comes to like, there's something crazy that's happening in the world. Oh my God, everybody's talking about it. I'm like, really? I should probably stay away then. It's probably not in my best interest to be involved in those conversations. And that's why I was really just sitting back like hoping. I'm like, yo, I hope we find her. I hope they find her. But like what the way the conversation going, I'm gonna just sit back and wait till it all play out. And it's crazy how it played out.
Shout out to Winter. Shout out to Black Man. See, the issue that I have is I talk about this often. This is a struggle that I have, and I've talked about it at different points in the show. Is aging myself. You know what I mean? I feel like we are at a crossroads a little bit to where if we opt out of having and being a part of these conversations, these different waves, we end up putting ourselves in a position where we are kind of asked out. It does go down on the internet. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like the ick of the experience sometimes, like I've had many times here recently where I'm like, I just want to shut down my Instagram. But what has happened to the internet and social media? Our real lives is on there. Our businesses are on there. Think about debate, bro. That's my money. That's my bread and butter. It's different forums on different platforms, different people. It's a tweet over here. It's a Facebook status over here. So it's a whatever. And so I coordinate to like the real thing, the real ways I make my money. You know what I'm saying? How I pay attention to the activity. So you can't escape it. And so there's so many times I've been like, man, I just want to get off. You know what I'm saying? I think I just want to black out my IG.
Yeah.
I just want to black and just be, because I know it's probably not in my best interest, but there's so many intersecting interests of what I have. It's some folk that we don't text like that. We don't whatever, but we laugh over something. So that's a little bond, a little relationship I don't want to let disappear. Right. Because I ain't fooling with the rest of the minutia of social media. So it's hard. It really is a difficult thing.
Danielle, we're gonna answer that when we get to the Ask the Chop Up portion at the end of the show. So definitely hold on to that. We definitely gonna come back to that. But
and I want to say too, the same way that y'all asked that question in the chat, make sure y'all sending us DMs on the Instagram page to let us know what y'all want us to be talking about, so we can really think about and get into it. And however, we kind of are able to. But these types of, we want y'all to talk about this. Let's talk about this. Let's put this on the table. This is exactly the energy we're looking for going into the fall.
So, all right. So I understand how, Toya, you feel about social media. I've been very reluctant. Like I'm not really. The only reason I'm on social media is to do the podcast shit and this political plug shit. Outside of like really tapping into political conversations with y'all and having like intelligent conversation with y'all, I really don't care to be on this shit. Like me and Toya both really gotta force ourselves to, to be a part of the whole social media dynamic. And so when we talk about that, how it's making us bad people, this isn't just something that we saying we ain't even really being hyperbolic either. Like we're really speaking to what studies and information say is really going on with our new attachment to the media that now kind of dictates and dominates how we operate today. It's a study that came out. It was released in Canada. That's the only. It's free if y'all want to check it out. It's called Smartphone, Social Media Use, and Youth Mental Health. That came out in Canada a couple years ago, or about a year ago. And what it was breaking down was the impact that social media had on like the self-worth, the self-esteem, the inner dialogue and perspective that younger people have of themselves. And when I say younger people, like the people after the millennials, what's that? Generation Z? Gen Z. Yeah. The people that was born when we graduated high school type shit. And it's kind of pointing out that like they're struggling to adapt with identifying with themselves and loving themselves, but then always having to deal with the way that they're criticized and the way that they're evaluated based on likes, based on shares. You know what I'm saying? Is anybody commenting on my shit? right?
Yeah.
I'll admit that even posting chop up shit, you feel me? There's a sense of damn, ain't nobody like this. Oh, I thought we was cooking type
Yeah.
shit that come with like whether we looking at views or whether we looking at like all of those shits end up impacting how people feel about themselves. And as we as adults, we kind of made it through like with the bullying stage. Like we
Yeah.
kind of
I mean,
firm in ourselves.
like the biggest flex, what I think the meme or whatever going around is like, back in the day, you had to get up to sharpen your pencil in order to show off your outfit. You know what I'm saying?
That's
like
yeah.
that was our era. Shout out to Tiffany in the building. You know what I'm saying? Like too, in the comments, but like that was how we got ours off. You still had to be in the mix. You still had to be in the know and know what's going on, but you wasn't living and dying by somebody liking or commenting or sharing
Right.
or whatever your stuff.
And you could get away from you can get away from the bully. Like, all right, people making fun of your clothes. All right, when you go home, you gotta worry about people making fun of your clothes. Now on the internet, well, they be like, hey, did y'all see what little Jeffrey out on today? Looking bad.
This has led to, and I mean, what we see that in on a more inflated level in the context of social media and internet is led to people taking pictures of complete strangers. You know what I'm saying? You have people like Joey Swole, who is a gym enthusiast, and I mean, probably a trainer. I want to say more than an enthusiast, but who has been making videos about how terrible it is for us to be recording people in the gym and making fun of them and stuff like that, when that's supposed to be a place where people are getting better, they working out their stress, they improving their self-image, they getting their self-esteem up, and then all we do is go, so imagine being out in the world. So many times, just out, we see videos of people just living.
And then you look up and you viral.
You know what I'm saying?
Somebody talking shit about you on a bad day type shit.
Bruh, that has to be the worst feeling in the whole wide world. You know what I'm saying? But the internet has coded that as normal, taking it in as normal, laughing at people as normal, whole comments, thousands of comments. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's hard because you know good and well when we out in public, 9 times out of 10 you don't say nothing. You don't necessarily help. You don't tell them, hey baby, let me fix you real quick. Humanity ain't that good, but we also not causing a ruckus in aisle 7 because somebody booty sticking out or somebody, you know what I'm saying? Whatever.
Right, you going about your, you know what I mean? Now this study pointed out a few things. A few was this key finding. They found evidence from a variety of cross-sectional, longitudinal, empirical studies. So that means that there was some rigorous,
very
academic.
Well-rounded.
Exactly. Niggas can't. Why can't niggas just say shit?
Multi-layered.
Right. That implicated smartphone and social media use in the increase of mental distress, self-injurious behavior, and suicidality, which I actually learned that word reading this study among youth. There is a dose-response relationship, and the effects appear to be greatest among girls. So it's clearly having smartphones and social media has created an attachment to media that is literally negatively impacting the way young people see themselves. It says social media can affect adolescents' self-view and interpersonal relationship through social comparison and negative interactions, including cyberbullying. Moreover, social media content often involves normalization and even promotion of self-harm and suicidality among youth. This is the empirical research. Again, the name of this, the title of the study is Smartphone, Social Media Use, and Youth Mental Health. So we have the data that shows that it's making people become, it's making more bullies, the worst type of bullies, cyber bullies, that kids can't get away from, and it's leading to the encouraging type behavior that makes them do things to hurt themselves. Absolutely. All right. So, because I do want to point out, when we're saying that it's making us bad people, right, it's also victimizing a lot more people, and it's victimizing the more the more precious, I ain't want to say precious, but the more vulnerable population. What was you about to say?
Two things I take away from the details of that study and what it implicates for me. And shout out to Vince in the comments. Vince. Shout out to my brother Vance in the comments. I'm up here talking, just rolling. But
remember when I called Vance Lance?
Yeah, we spoke to it, and he done stuck by us this whole entire time. So showing love for the verification in the comments and everything. We know it's love. Two things I take away from the results of that study. First thing is we have to take the results of these types of studies serious as a society, because we understand demographically that just because we're able to paint rigid lines for a particular group of people doesn't mean it doesn't spill over in a couple different directions. And I'll continue that thought in the first place. But I point that out to say that these numbers are so serious for this demographic that it has led to literal legislation. It's laws being passed. It's whole states like saying no
Mm-hmm.
TikTok for you. No, you can't even download it, load it in the state. I can't remember. Maybe Minnesota, maybe Montana. One of these states, you can't even get the app on the app store when you're in the state. I don't know how it works enforcing it, but a lot of things, including lawsuits against your favorite social media companies, your TikToks, your Instagrams, they're being sued for
Mm-hmm.
the way that young people are able. And I think they even now have filters,
Having
all
some
different types of things.
liability, right? Creating some type of
Yeah,
liability. Yeah.
and now parents are fighting back, and society is fighting back because it's wild. The second thing I say, which dovetails to where I started this conversation, is demographics, rather, they bleed over, right? That's just where the numbers are most prolific. But if we see that happening to the kids, what's happening to us. This is why we got big bullies. This is we got big assholes. It's because the same behaviors and tendencies that we see in that demographic, we see it spill over with adults and shape the way that we talk about and understand real life shit, like real life people, real life issues, real life whatever. So you have real life bullies and adults who are able to, at the stroke of a key, ruin and blow up people's lives and do all types of wild stuff. And the targets of those things and whose lives are, changed for the worse and not for the better, right? And I say that conflictingly because we know, one of my favorite quotes is Twitter, do your thing, right? Where somebody been acting up in public or somebody been on some bullshit
Twitter, do
and
you
they
think?
get enough information on the person, like Twitter, this person lives here, they do this, do it. And next thing you know, they know where they work, they know where their kids go to school, they know about whatever, some medical issues they had 6 months ago, they know everything, they know their home address, everything's on display. And I love it when they get the bad people, but it makes them really sad when they get people who don't deserve that
Who
type of
don't
stuff.
really deserve? Yeah, it. All of it's a double edged sword, right? Like it's
Absolutely.
and because again, what we forget is that social media is still just media. It's like TV. It's like the radio. It's like the newspaper, right? It's
Yeah.
just that we now have more access than we've really ever had. And so, but while we was having this conversation, we was just like, let's go ahead and list all the shit that just like is the things that's making social media bad, like making us bad people. Because the way
Man, that
Toya
was
brought it to me, I could feel her frustration. Like she was angry about this shit. She was not liking how niggas was moving. You know what I'm saying? She was just like, it's just making us bad people. So I was like, let's rock,
yeah.
right? And so we was able to come up with 7 of the top ways that we felt like social media is contributing to our dereliction.
Hey,
Uh,
before we start, shout out to the homie Dapper Gent who just popped in the building. Definitely gonna talk about the topic on Ask the Chop Up. So we know Dapper Gent is the one who slid in the DMs and dropped something for us to talk about. So we're gonna get through our list at the end of the show. We're gonna talk about a couple things. We're gonna talk about Florida and we're gonna talk about this Jason Aldean song. But we'll get there in a minute. Let's jump into this list real quick.
Hey, as we going through the list though, we need y'all assistance. Again, y'all commenting definitely help us move in the algorithm. So check this out. As we going through the list, we want to hear y'all examples, right, of these things that we bring up because we know that y'all have witnessed these too. So starting with the first one, Toya, what we got? Well, starting at the bottom, we're going from 7 to 1. Starting with number 7, where we at, Toya?
I think number 7, the thing that makes us terrible people or it creates terrible people is the culture and the atmosphere of oversharing. Right? The internet for a lot of people, and sometimes I get on Twitter and I'm like, man, I'm about to flame some shit. I'm about to go in on somebody. I'm about to talk shit about the person I'm dating. I'm about to do whatever I want to do. And then I have to stop myself and say, this is not a diary. Right? These people don't care. Hey, none of these people solve my problems. Ain't nobody really finna jump out and fix my
Oh,
shit. And when it's all said and done, I'm just giving them viewing fodder material just to run
exactly.
through and then move on to the next thing. There are better ways.
Leaving
And
room,
think
but
about,
leaving room for insult.
you know
That's
what I'm
what I call
saying?
it. Yeah,
And when we talk about these, if it exists, we're gonna talk about the bad and the good of some of these because I
got you.
understand to an extent social media has become a place, especially in spaces like TikTok, especially on places where like YouTube, where people have come to share their experiences in long form. Right? It's not just a drive by, boom, boom, boom. It's not just a cute selfie on Instagram or whatever. Even Facebook, just pick a platform. People have been able to find their people, find their community, find people who agree with their issues or experiences with disabilities, for example, and how that's shaping their life. And we're gonna play a video here in a second to kind of demonstrate some of that. But it's people who talk about their health and fitness issues and that journey and what it looks like. It's people who get on and talk about the different just interest that they have, right? You don't really feel like you grew up in a place where anime was a thing, but you get on a platform and now, you know what I'm saying, your people is there.
Right.
They got the jokes, the inside jokes, the fan fiction, the anime,
Getting all the references, yeah, all of it, all of it.
you know what I mean? And pick a thing, movements, you know what I mean? But it all comes from oversharing. People's whole lives have been changed because they turned on that camera, turned it on them, and was like, let me tell y'all how it really is for me right now. And so it's rough because the other sides of that is like you get parents beating their kids' ass on the computer, and it's like, I know you was taught and raised a certain way and certain cultural,
but that ain't
but
cool though. Like that's not okay.
you want to prove a point and you want to get likes and shares. You know what I'm saying? So you end up putting your whole heart and soul on the internet. But you know, y'all let us know about that oversharing and how y'all kind of feel about that. In the meantime, you got that clip pulled up because I
Yeah,
think
so because a part of what Toya was speaking to, in terms of like the good side of it, social media does give people who don't, when they feel like it ain't nobody around them, that they feel like they could actually, you know, they got somebody to talk to in a sense, right? Like it's like, you know, you hop on a post and you kind of vent a particular, you know what I'm saying, frustration, and then people be like, yo, we got, like, you know, we feel something similar. We deal with that too, right? Mm-hmm. And so like that's the good part, you know, the good aspect of it. But then the flip side, what we about to show y'all is what I would consider the flip side to that. And while it's both, it has its, you know what I'm saying, it can be both good and bad. This, what we about to show y'all now, is an example of when it get bad. So let's pull this up real quick. All right, now give y'all a background. This is a sister who was really venting about, it's a sister of a special needs child, and she's venting about kind of like the frustrations and the things associated with that. And so let's hear her out.
Having a kid with special fucking needs is not for the weak. Why is 40 bottles of fucking water gone? Because he didn't want to open the same fucking bottle and drink his backwash. Why are your flops broken from you flipping them up in the fucking air, catching them and smashing them on the ground, or scooting your fucking feet up all the way to the edge of the fucking surface and popping them bitch? I love my son, my ponytail coming off. That's how stressed I am, y'all. I can't fucking take it. I can't fucking take it. I'm having one of those moments. I'm having one of those moments. I'm having one of those moments. I'm having one of those fucking moments because I have... It's okay.
Yeah. We gotta unpack that clip. And I wanna unpack it because it starts off and it comes in so hot and heavy in a way you like, damn, you hate your kid? Nobody told you to have a kid. Nobody, you know what I'm saying? Like, nobody forced you to have a child, and it ain't nobody's fault that they have special needs, and everybody makes decisions, which is what a lot of the comments on that video was. And the different places I saw it, a lot of people went straight for, it's a shame you up here carrying on like that. You made a decision to have a child. This is why you need to be careful who you lay down with, how you lay down this and that, whatever. But as the video progressed, it went from being like, damn, you bugging, my heart is going out to you right now, because I could tell, I don't think she wanted nobody to fix it. It wasn't, I feel like she just turned her camera on and just had a moment. Like, I just need to say this out loud. The child probably outside, gone, you know, doing whatever, nowhere near, probably in the house by herself. And just, you know, and especially on places where you build community, people build community around disability. You hashtag disability. You find people having all types of discourse about those types of experiences, from the caretakers to the actual people themselves. And so I'm certain she was just like, does anybody hear me? You know, but I walk away from that like cringing and kind of, because she's giving specific examples, she holding up stuff, she throwing stuff, but ultimately in the end just feeling for her, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
when you look at the comments, it's ugly, people tearing her apart. And I feel like a moment that was very vulnerable, you leave it open to the court of public opinion, and you know how they act, you know how they do.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a double, like I said, it's a double-edged sword most of the time, because on one hand, there is a level of relief because she got it out. And then you got to remember, like, she posted it. It was, you know what I'm saying? This wasn't like a live like this and she kind of just lost her cool. Like, she posted it. You know what I mean? And we do oftentimes, and this is why this is number 7 on the list, because I think out of everything else on the list, oversharing sometimes it is the thing that can be the most forgiving because sometimes somebody just needs somebody to know. You know what I mean? And if there are other mothers out there that suffer from those same feelings, dealing with a special needs child, they can see that it's not just them, right? So, but it don't look good though. You know what I mean? Like a lot of self-righteous people.
I see the comment saying like it's like it's hard to watch. Like a lot of people, and Winter is saying the other side of it. Like as an individual who is autistic, right? Oversharing is important. Seeing these emotions is important. It's good for humans to be, exposed to each other in their rawest forms. And I kind of get some of that too. It's rough when that gives people the jurisdiction to then judge how you do things or what you do, and kind of gives them that poetic license to rewrite your story and add stuff onto your narrative.
And that's what it is.
Do a whole bunch of weird stuff. You know what I mean?
So it's like it's bad because it makes us more vulnerable, and then people who routinely use the internet to take advantage of people's vulnerabilities or to highlight people's vulnerabilities for their own, you know what I'm saying, gain. That's fodder for them.
And so the last thing I'm gonna say about this is there's another popular kind of social media conversation that goes around anytime somebody is on camera crying by themselves, like. You can't, and it sucks.
It's like, remember they set it up. They was like,
yeah, you know what I mean. Like, let me
get it right. Oh, hold on, okay, hold on. Yeah.
Man, I was covering up the camera. My camera's smudgy. I got some grease on it. Like, I got to start crying over again.
Let me cry again.
And I try not to judge those moments, but I think again, every time you press record or you hit send on your deepest, darkest, it just becomes a gamble on how it exists in the real world. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's forever. Because somebody mentioned in the comments, like, I would hate for the child to see that one day. You know what I'm saying? Like, what happens if the child come across that content? And that's often the comeback that people say is, your kids will see you on the internet doing this and that, or one day, and what are you gonna do then? And so things to consider. But let's slide to number 6.
All right, slide into number 6. What we got here? We have virtue signaling. This is yeah. This is the one that I picked. And to me it's one of the things that annoy me the most. Because like we have social justice conversations, right? We study it. Right, like it's kind of like a part of, even like we public speakers, we out here doing these conversational things, but at the same time, like it's also about a larger purpose, right? Like we do this for black people, we do this for black men, black women, and black everybody, right? In between, right? It's not it ain't binary like that. It's a spectrum, and we do it for that black spectrum. Mm-hmm. But what's happened as our society has progressed is that what we know about whiteness is that it picks up on what's cool. Once progressivism and anti-racism and pushing back against shit, you know what I mean, being anti-essentialist, anti-institutionalist, all of that, once that began to make money, once that began to became prominent, once those individuals espousing those beliefs became, commercially successful, that's when it all just was like, oh yeah, racism, what? Yeah, like no, right? And so virtue signaling is, like, to me, is the worst example of how movements, ideologies, missions of oppressed people gets commercialized. It's how we get Tupac t-shirts and Malcolm X t-shirts in Target in the kids section. You know what I mean? It's how we get conservatives spouting out Martin Luther King and talking about what Martin Luther King believed in. You know what I mean?
One of the things that burn me up every time is when a holiday surrounding black people come around, Martin Luther King Day, Juneteenth or whatever, and you'll look on Twitter and fucking, what's his name? Mitch McConnell has written a tweet about the importance of, like, you're making
Come
me
on, bro. You can keep that shit. You can
Look,
keep
his
that
daughter,
shit.
and Dr. King daughter Bernice King be on the internet every time, like keep my daddy's name out your. I love
Out
it.
your
She be like, get out
mouth.
of here. Do not even evoke his image anywhere in
Not at all.
proximity to this nonsense you be doing. I love it.
Not at all. Not at all. Now, I know you got an example, but my example, what I feel like is the worst case of the more modern virtue signaling that we deal with routinely, Black Lives Matter shit. Now, I'm not somebody who tears down Black Lives Matter. I've always had like an ideological criticism of Black Lives Matter, but I was never. I'm somebody that like I'm not going against black shit in public over what could possibly be, what could be a trivial ideological dispute, right? I'll talk shit behind niggas' back, but I'm not about to be in public like, fuck Black Lives Matter, right?
Right.
Just because I don't want to contribute to the people who do the most to tear it down. I'm not on your side. You feel me? But if Black Lives Matter today is the like the quintessential form of virtue signaling. I seen a tweet today, or not a tweet. I don't be on Twitter like that. A TikTok. I'm talking to your ass. A TikTok today, where it was like how you know a community is being gentrified is white people move into the spot. Next thing you know, it's a Black Lives Matter sign in the window.
Flag or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, a flag, whatever. I've even been to. I was at this super liberal event in LA. They had Black Lives Matter streamers. Right. Matter of fact, like the streamer party things had all types of black or like liberal leftist phrases in the streamers. In my mind, I'm thinking like, where do you get this? It was like Black Lives Matter, and ICE. You know what I'm saying? It's Etsy. Something it had to be because it was like end ICE or abolish ICE or something like that. Another phrase that was cracking at the time, like you know what I'm saying? It was just I was just like I didn't even know they made this type of shit, right? And so I think right now we're at that stage where Black Lives Matter is the main way that people try to virtue signal that they no I'm with it, I'm woke. I'm with the time.
I mean, I think an interesting context that this definitely applies to is like on dating apps. That's what you put when you're welcome to deal with black people. You know what I'm saying? Which is interesting because it's kind of like you have to put it there so the Negroes know that it's a thing.
I ain't been on no dating apps. So,
but like that is literally people go out of their way, non-black people, to put that in wherever. So it's like clear how they.
Yeah, I like black people. It's like you don't have to assume.
Black people are okay with me, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of that capital that we've created to like be like the cheat code to being like, yeah, I'm down. I'm with it.
What was the example you had though?
I mean, Dina came out with a fire one, and we had a whole show about these cop cars.
I was about to say that too. Yeah.
Great example of virtue signaling. We love niggas.
Black History Month cop cars.
Come have a ride in the back of our our souped up SUV.
Yeah.
And that's
we're gonna beat the shit out of you as we celebrate Black History Month.
You know what I'm saying? It's July. I wonder where them cars is now. Like, I wonder, they done already had them rewrapped and switched over and put the standard department wrapping on it. But sure, for a while it lasted.
Back to the bullshit.
My example, if we go back to 2020, was them black squares. And y'all talk to me in the comments if y'all remember what I'm talking about. Because Donald was like, oh, I don't really kind of remember that. But y'all remember when I guess it was like some music artists wanted to take a stance and like black out the music industry as a stance against the violence happening to George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. So I that part of it I wasn't really invested in, but it took off. And then all of a sudden everybody was blacking out their Instagram and got a black square on there in solidarity with the movements, and we blacking out social media. Well, I remember that specifically being a move. And so all the white people I knew was like, let me take the phone and camera and press it down to the top of the desk and get my black picture.
Get my black photo, yeah.
Post about to let people know that I'm with the shits. And I just, so fake. You know what I'm saying? So goofy, so unnecessary, so immaterial. And here's the thing, I fell for it. I'm a nigga and I made a black square. Like, what did y'all do to me? Like, what am I doing? Like, why? And I look back and I don't know why I participated. Like, I think, and I might even deleted that shit because I was like, this is stupid.
I did. I ain't gonna lie. I did that on TikTok. So a while back, TikTok had this shit where it was like everybody put a black fist. Like if you was like in support of like social justice on TikTok. You had to have a black fist as your profile
Yeah.
picture. So I got caught up with that shit too. But the last thing I say on this virtue signaling shit is like social media is actually like created for that, and like these companies constantly do things to make it easier for people to virtue signal. One of the greatest examples of that is when Facebook came out with the ability to put the frames. Like it was like I stand like when the something burned down, like the church or something burned down.
Mm.
It was like it was a famous building or whatever caught on fire, and like niggas was putting like, oh, you know, I stand with the whatever, right? It was a frame or something that you could put on your shit.
Cathedral,
and
yeah, something like
the,
that.
The cathedral, yeah, and like Facebook and was like coming out with different frames like that just to make it easier for niggas to be like, hey, I don't really care about this shit, but just for people to feel like and get the idea that I care about it. Here,
Exactly.
like let me put this on my shit. So
I mean, you know, and I want to be clear. You know, we said we was gonna talk about if there was any good to this type of virtue, these types of things on the internet, then we should expose them. I do want to say, you know, in the same ways we can criticize virtue signaling, it is nice to know where you're supposed to be standing. I like to know what you put. That way, if you're not acting very much like that, I can tell you that you are being kind of an anti-black or anti-queer, or anti-trans or whatever. And,
easy to call out.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I want to set you up for that and have a clear link to your behaviors and the inconsistencies and contradictions. The other side is like, I'll take virtue signaling and a yard with a Black Lives Matter sign in it over like a yard with an American flag in it, or a yard with a like
True.
there's a lot of fuck Biden flags flying around here. It's a lot
True.
of it was a lot of go Brandon or gay Brandon. What was the phrase?
Let's go Brandon. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of.
Which to this day, I should stay away from that. I don't even know what that means. I don't know where it came from. I think it was some TikTok shit.
My mind around it completely.
Yeah.
But
I
I
stay
know
away
it's not
from
my
it.
business, and I know whose business it is, and I don't deal with their business, so I just stay away, you know, from stuff like that.
Exactly.
And so it is interesting to kind of have that buffer to know how people feel in their position on some shit, because it does give you a metric to hold them accountable by, and at least you ain't putting the other shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what
Right.
platform we on. If you have an American flag next or an emoji next to, I don't trust it. I don't fool with it. It's not my business, right?
Yeah,
So
definitely don't
I'll
have
take
no
that.
American flag with the blue line through it.
My lord, you know what
That's
I'm saying?
smoke.
I'll take that.
Yeah, that's smoke. So,
Yeah.
that was number 6. Toya, what is number 5?
What is number 5? The political plug? I don't remember.
5 is fake outrage and fake empathy.
Outrage.
Fake outrage and fake empathy,
Yes.
people.
Yes. Fake outrage and fake empathy. We know that a lot of stuff happens on social media, and we are prisoners of the moment. And a lot of times, I think that's kind of some of the worst things, because whenever the story changes, sometimes when we go to bed, I don't know what it is. There's not ever a collective conversation like, we over it? Yeah, we over it. It's just, I think niggas just go to bed collectively knowing, yeah, that's dead. We done talking about that. We're going to slide to something else tomorrow. Or we'll go back to business as usual tomorrow. And so it creates these moments where a lot of big things be happening, and we don't really, I think, sit and deal with them in the ways that they should be. Prime example, and I think France is just like, has flexed on us. If any way, France has consistently flexed on the United States. It's the way that they turn up about the shit that they mad about. Like, they don't just be mad for a minute. France will burn some shit down. France is about to be in the streets protesting. They fighting the authorities. They are messing up monuments. They doing all types of things. And we saw that most recently, 2 examples, but these are not new for France. France is with the shits. But the most recently, they protested the raise or the increase of the age to get Social Security that they have there. I think it was like 64, and they raised it to like 67 or something like that. They was not having that shit. So they was in the streets turning up. And these is OGs. You know what I'm saying? Like, surely people in the just regular society of all backgrounds was probably fighting on their behalf too. But these are old people that's like, you got me fucked up. You think I'm finna work all this time and produce and, you know, contribute to society like this, and you just gonna leave me out here? No.
Yeah, it was niggas that was also like, we gonna be old one day too. Y'all got us fucked up.
You know what I'm saying? And so shout out to them for running amok and then doubled back, spent the block on their ass in the past month with the killing of an innocent teenager who I think was Muslim, but was a person of the color by the police. And as soon as they got news from that, from sea to shining sea in Italy, they was on it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry, in France, they was on it. You know what I'm saying? Turned up, not taking no for an answer, burning stuff down, like days and days and days of protest. And I'm not saying they go run them up every single time something pops off, but look at, okay, so maybe your particular cup of tea wasn't getting upset about the Supreme Court decision about services that can be rendered to LGBTQ people, right? Maybe that's not the issue for you, and that's not the thing that turned you up.
Should have been.
Maybe, exactly, right? Maybe affirmative action in education wasn't your thing because you really didn't, have any stake in that. You didn't go to college or whatever. But
Right.
I think the most unifying issue that enough people in this country should have been pissed off about is this whole, especially in these dire economic times we're in, what happened with student loans. You know what I'm saying?
Student
Like,
loan,
no,
yep.
everybody didn't go to college, but enough people on both sides of the aisle with a multiplicity of living experiences, political affiliations, social beliefs, ideologies. That's enough people who should have just been pissed off about that.
Unified on one thing. You find, but niggas was like, well, I've paid off my student loans, so I don't think. Yeah, get the fuck out of here.
Another example: mass shootings. We should be pissed. We should be turned up. The way that they allowing our kids to die in these schoolhouses.
In schools, these is mass shootings in schools.
Like, we should have been in the streets. Like, we up with it. Like, you want to see some gunpowder? We want to see some gunfire? We got some gunfire. But no.
And I think that's just what's crazy about it. Like, I feel like there's certain things in the society that we shouldn't. This is not debatable, right? It's just not debatable. And the fact that we have a phenomenon of our schools getting shot up is proof enough for, like, regardless of where we fall on the political spectrum, we should be thinking, okay, it's something that should be done, right? But a lot of the polarization that we see in politics stems from the way people respond to things on social media. We want our politicians to say the things that we like on social media. No longer to actually, like, I mean, we barely can't give a fuck about the legislation anyway. But now it's like we like the politicians that go viral. We like the politicians that say wild shit. I mean, and that's how. Because what's the frame that the phrase that we use now? Platforming. Mm-hmm. Right, some of the worst people, some of the most toxic people get platformed, and those are the people who display the fake outrage the most. Because where I see fake outrage being displayed, and it's just like you really gotta be fucking kidding me, is this whole thing about sexualizing kids. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, in two places where it come to kids. Two places where it come to kids: sexualizing kids and being pro-life.
Yeah.
Those two things. First. The bullshit with the fake outrage with sexualizing kids is, I'm telling you, the Little Mermaid wore a smaller halter top than any other Disney princess in existence.
Wow.
Wasn't nobody tripping off that, right? Wasn't nobody tripping off of the two dogs kissing with the spaghetti. All of this shit is cute. When nobody tripping off, oh, that's your little boyfriend, oh, you got a little girlfriend. When nobody tripping off none of that, right?
Let that child Sleeping Beauty sleep and could nobody wake her up until they kissed her?
Until they kissed her.
Come on now.
Right?
It wasn't enough. Hello, Sleeping Beauty. You can't just go to the doorway and call her name. No, you got to put your lips on her.
I'm telling you. So it's all this dialogue associated with what we want kids seeing when what we have on TV is already bad enough. The heterosexual relationships and interactions that we see is bad enough. And you talking about sexualizing kids? Stop. Hold on, but that's the sexualizing kids part. So we know that they lying about that because they saying they don't like queer shit. Just say you don't like queer shit. Period. Just say you don't want to teach your kids about gay shit. Just say that.
They don't want to get canceled. They don't say that. They try to take the easy way and be like, the kids just don't need to see that.
Try to take the high road. They trying to take the high road, but they can't because they already full of shit. Second aspect of it is when you want to make a big deal about abortion and when you want to talk about saving the lives of children and how many black children die and how many black children die and Margaret Sanger, I ain't seen none of you motherfuckers out here advocating for adoption.
Listen.
I ain't seen none of y'all people out here actually talking about, hey, well, we need to do something about how kids are treated in these group homes. I ain't seen nobody talk. And then let's combine the conversations. You talking about how children are overly sexualized. Ain't nobody talk. I don't see none of y'all talking about the rate at which group home children or children in the system are molested and touched on.
Come on.
But you talking about we worried about kids being sexualized and we worried about black kids dying, but the black kids that are alive,
Yeah.
the black kids that are alive in fucked up circumstances that are in the system for whatever reason, what we know that they have to deal with. Like the numbers and the statistics of children who are abused and molested going through the system are staggering.
Through the roof. Through the roof.
But you want to talk about, but you want to talk about some woman that's having abortions because she just don't want to stop. Like, come, if you hate women, just say that.
I mean, and the other side of that is, of course, you can't. The same people who tend to be pro-life are the same people who are pro-gun, and so you can stay alive, little child, but only long enough for you to get shot up at your schoolhouse. You know what I'm saying? Like, if kids really are, if you're pro-life, why are you not advocating for the very things that are eradicated, that are the number one killer of young people ages 0 to, I'm sorry, I think all adolescents of kids from 0 to 18. The largest, because we know it's kids being killed in their home by discovering guns that are improperly stored and locked up by their parents. We know that there's been a spike of young people, literally children, shooting their parents in the home because they finding the guns and actually shooting the adults. We know that kids are finding guns. I remember a little boy just took a gun to a schoolhouse and shot the teacher a year and a half ago.
Come on.
But none of that is
Come
about
on.
being, those lives don't matter. Let them die. Right? But you better not abort that baby.
You better
And
not.
6 weeks in, I'm talking about, I think it was,
Ron DeSantis, you are 100% right. Ron DeSantis said that if he got elected president, he would advocate for a 6-week ban. And I think they have a 6-week. He trying to push for a 6-week ban in Florida.
Come on.
What are we doing? You don't even know you pregnant yet.
It's wild, yo. Like,
So-
fake outrage, par excellence.
Right, and so that's one of the ones again that I feel like it's kind of in the line of virtue signaling. It's difficult with the fake outrage when like to find like the excuse, because it's just like it don't add up, right? And then that outrage is used to demonize a particular group, and it's always an already marginalized and oppressed group. Where's the outrage that white men are the leading cause of domestic terrorism in the United States? Where is that outrage? Because I know what happened after 9/11. I'm like, if you was brown, you came from one of them brown Muslim countries, hey, you was on some type of terror watch list. But the FBI is telling us that white men are the biggest threat to domestic safety, and here we are. There's no outrage about that. So, again, we want to hear from y'all. I appreciate it, J Universe. Dina said other countries don't give a fuck. They tear stuff down when they mad. America sucks it up. America sucks. They just move on to the next topic. On to the next one. We ain't mad about that no more. Okay, cool.
Listen, and they
Okay,
let
cool. I'm
social
still
media
mad about
determine it.
Tamir Rice. I'm still mad about Trayvon Martin. I'm still mad about Eric Gardner. I'm still mad about Breonna Taylor. I'm still like that shit don't go away, right?
Yeah.
This shit we think about as we move through the side. What you about to say? Don't tell you my fault.
I mean, not just that. It sucks that likes and shares and comments generate the way that things get boosted too. You know what I'm saying? And even on the news, what people care about and whatever math they do to determine whatever is the most important at the top of the news feed is where it takes everybody's attention. And so a lot of stuff that should be rising to the top doesn't. And that's because people outside of us, the actual people who are affected by it, are determining what we see and when enough is enough. And I think it's a terrible model.
All right, so let's get through this. I think we're doing pretty good so far. Y'all let us know what y'all think about the list, what y'all would move up, what y'all would move down, what y'all would include. We got a few more to go. We have made it to number 4 now. And what we have fourth on the list is thinking deeply about shallow shit. Shout out to Consciously. Shout out to Consciously.
Boy, man.
I told him when I first heard him say this shit, I was like, I'm still in it, bro. Like, I just so expect to hear this multiple times from the Chop Up the Plug. Thinking deeply about shallow shit. What does that mean? How would you articulate that to you?
Taking something
How does that speak to you?
I mean, everybody either wants to pick apart something or over intellectualize something or put too much on something. You're just doing too much. DTM, you know what I'm saying? Like, you do too much. And so a lot of things that just need to be what they are. A lot of things that are not very difficult to understand or even overstand, depending on how you decide to intellectualize about your things, just don't really be that deep. Prime
Mm-hmm.
example, and one of the things I think one of the examples that pisses me off the most is of people thinking deep about shallow shit is the running list we have on social media. Depending on what video goes viral or what conversations are having on what makes a man gay, right? Everything makes a man gay now, right? You drink no, and I'm gonna give you the worst example. I was so exhausted with this shit. Eating a hot dog makes a man gay. So you can't eat the glizzy. Oh, don't eat the glizzy. Glizzy, glizzy, glizzy. It's what are you talking about? It's
Yeah.
your local family function. It's your local cookout. It's your local ball game. It's niggas is eating hot dogs. You know what I'm saying? And I guess I don't want to. Unfortunately, I feel like in immature spaces and spaces where homophobia reigns supreme, where it's niggas who are literally breaking off pieces of the hot dog. I seen niggas break off the top of the banana and roll it around real quick like some dice before you eat it. All this stupid extra shit because we've come up with this really arbitrary list of very basic everyday things that make somebody gay. There's a list on Twitter that I've seen that's like somebody and it gets updated every time something else goes viral. So I see it. I should have saved it every time I say I need to save this list. But it's somebody in a note section that is taking notes every time. And the list is at like 108. It's at over 100 things that we have socially, collectively decided makes a man gay that ain't. Thinking deeply about shallow shit. Like, what are you even talking about?
Yeah. I think it's two places where I feel like we do this the most. And actually I'm with J Universe on we here at J Universe because the first one of course is the voting conversation.
Yeah.
Like the way we talk about voting is so simplistic and it's elementary, like 101. We can't even talk strategy because it's certain things that we just can't get past, right?
Yeah.
Like we still bringing up with Joe Biden and the crime bill. Again, why is that thinking deeply about shallow shit? Because it was a bipartisan bill. It was Democrats and Republicans alike,
Yeah.
right? That signed that bill. So the fact that we're arguing about it, but they're not, it's proof that it's just like that's some of the simple shit. And I be trying to explain to niggas that the fact that we still arguing about voting, period, that's thinking deeply. That's the easiest thing to do. And the least in the
They're counting on it.
right. And when it's so much more to the voting conversation than just whether or not you go do it. All you got to do is show up and drop it. It's the hard work happens months and years prior to casting that ballot, right? So the fact that our conversation is caught up on voting, that's we thinking deeply about shallow shit, and the gender conversation, like whether it's the question of gender and biology and sexuality, and whether or not it's more than two, the role of a woman, the role of a man,
$200 dates.
Right. Oh my God. How much would you spend? What if a girl sent you like, yo, what if a girl sent you this text message? Like, I need somebody to take care. If you want to take me on a date, my babysitter is $300.
Right.
Like, first of all, these are not real text message conversations. If y'all don't know, like, so it's like 50. It's like 100,000 comments. Everybody going in, and this was a conversation that was created in a make a fake text message thread generated.
Or just from another phone. You like, I'm gonna text the phone this and I'm gonna text the phone back. Now you got a whole fabricated conversation and people talking about shit that didn't even happen. And here's the other side of it. Not only these fake conversations, but every situation is different. Why are you taking we don't have no background information on none of these characters.
None.
How much
None.
money he make, how much money she make, where she work, where he work, confounding responsibilities, the just kind of the lifestyles people are accustomed to. Everybody's situation is different, so why would you take this and try to apply it to your situation or everybody's situation anyway?
Oh, you know what? More recent, the thinking deeply about shallow shit. You know what I'm about to say?
What's that?
The splitting the bill when you go out. The whole like whether or not see, and that's what I'm saying. Why do the dumbest circumstances end up creating some of the most viral moments? Like this is it's not a debate, yo. It's really not a debate. It's really not a debate. we should all be mature enough to be able to handle these types of things in ways to where it's not a viral situation that everybody got to get their 2 cents on.
I mean, and I also think like, who was raising you niggas? Like, I'm sorry, but these are things that should have been negotiated in your living room, across the dining room table. Like, as a woman, you don't go nowhere not able to pay for something. You know, I am very muchly 1,100% all about men not having expectations of women and this, and that. But also, with that, women, people who date who are in subject positions of lack of power, be mindful of the perceptions that people have so that nobody's able to come at you like, no, you owe me for no, you don't owe you shit. Here's my part, here's my contribution. Like, critical thinking, but also not overly critical thinking, because you think too hard and now we have a 1,000 comment thread on some silly simple shit that is just really
Simple.
not made for this area of this platform.
It's not. It's not. Way too complicated. And that doesn't deserve that much time. So we're not gonna spend too much time on it, but we're gonna let y'all know that number 4.
Tell you what Van said real quick. Van said that's why I don't even be on social media like that. I be around long enough to celebrate meaningful change and wins from people I find interesting or that I appreciate, and I'm out. And that's the way it should be done, right? Like, that is literally, I think, the healthiest way. I don't think it's necessary. A lot of people say being on social media is bad, it's terrible, I just get off of it because it's toxic. No, I think it's helpful to move with society in the places and the forums where they like to talk. Back in ancient Greece, they used to have a place called the Agora, and the Agora was a city center where it was a place where people would meet, they would hang out, they would talk about, that was where the issues of the time were negotiated. Where do the kids go? Where did the shit go? Where do we keep the clean water? Where do we go put the crops? What is the newest person, the most talented person in, you know, our community, or like all of that got negotiated in the Agora, right? And it has changed and transformed. And of course, different cultures, different ethnicities have had different city centers where the society, the community, the people were able to come together and learn from each other. So you got to go where the information and the conversations are if you want to be an active member of the communities you live in and the world that you live in. But we got to walk a fine line and tread lightly because of shit like this.
So moving on to our next, where we at now in our ranking, and for this one, we starting to get to the bad ones. And this, for number 3, we got social media don't take shit serious
At all.
Social media don't take shit serious. It also lack empathy. Got them 2 Ks in there. That's funny. But it's 2 things that like, these are 2 things that I feel like kind of display the worst of humanity, right? Because, like, again, with the lack of empathy part, that's why cyberbullying is so prominent. It's because it's like people are really just disconnected to the impact that they have on the lives of other individuals. Don't really care, right? The fact that the concept of trolling is something that's now so prominent, and sometimes it's accepted. People take the role of being a troll. They feel like that, you know, it's whether it's playing devil's advocate or spicing things up, making something more interesting, trying to get
Nobody
views.
asked for the devil. Nobody
Not never. Never. Nobody invites the devil in. Nobody. But then at the same time, the internet just laughs at everything. Social media laughs at everything. I want to go to a particular example that I found hilarious, but again, I don't like playing with the, you know what I'm saying, with deceased folk, right? Laughing at, but playing with deceased folk, laughing at deceased folk, laughing at the circumstances of deceased folk. And we was all around for, like, I mean, it's still kind of, it's not fresh anymore, but we fresh off of the submarine billionaires Titanic debacle, and some of the shit that came out of that was, I ain't gonna lie, hilarious. Now the reason why I'm saying this making us bad people is because I feel terrible that I laugh that this is funny, because in most circumstances, like from an interpersonal standpoint, this is a tragedy. What happened from an interpersonal standpoint, there are people that are connected to them as people, and they are dealing with a tragedy. I see your face, Toya.
But I just want to say, but from a decision making standpoint, whatever, right? We also, if y'all didn't check out our conversation about, you know, how we should respond to the plight of billionaires, we were mixed bag of feelings and emotions about how to deal with people who made decisions that were just not logical, just not economic. I'm sorry, not it was economically sound, but it was not ergonomically sound. It was not functionally
Right.
sound.
They wasn't
And
economically sound. It was $250,000 a pop.
stupid.
Shit.
You know what I'm saying? And just as you can trick it off don't mean you should. And so
Right.
very conflicting feelings about it. But we are of a social media generation in society where everybody's looking to drop the hottest banger to get the most likes, to get the most laughs, to get the most shares, to get the most retweets, and it's money on the line. Don't forget,
Money on the
you get
line.
money
There is
for
money on the
how they
line.
blow up the things that they do. So it really creates an incentive for you to be as ridiculous as you can possibly be. So this is one of
Speaking
many.
of speaking of being as ridiculous you can possibly be, this is a SoundCloud song that came out in response to the submarine debacle. Let's go.
Like how the fuck did y'all go underwater and get packed up? The sub getting smacked up, but y'all didn't pop back up. Like how the fuck y'all die on a trip in a submarine? Shit blew up and now y'all fried like onion rings. Like get out of the water, nigga, fight back. The ship had a controller, that bitch shoulda had a strike back. Big bar to goat, man, y'all know that I'ma get rude. They went in at some humans and they quickly turned to fish photo. Like who the fuck was driving? You got everybody killed, nigga. Like where the fuck is your skill? And I wish I could've been there to see everybody panic.
The fuck around drown trying to find the Titanic. No Phil Swift did a whole lot of dead, but probably got ate by a whale like King. Oh, cheap ass sub, bitch, I know it won't last. Oh, cheap ass sub, bitch, it's probably made of plastic. How you drop a
Mercy. Mercy God.
So
I'm sorry, 'cause that was loud as hell. If it was loud for y'all, it was loud for me too. So that's how they was coming through on the SoundCloud.
oh yeah, they was on the bass hard as hell. Was not playing when it came to the bass. But again, this is an interpersonal tragedy.
That he dead.
What the niggas? It was like you got everybody killed, nigga. Like what?
Fry you like some onion rings? My dude, like, what are we really doing here?
And
I'm just here
it,
for this low volume. We might have to make it available on the Chop Up Show page as an insider, as an inside peek. Only y'all will have the context of it. But the lyrics were terrible. So you didn't miss anything. You missed some disrespect.
but very disrespectful. You know, it's comedy. It's funny. But here we are again. Now, black people, we're no strangers to making fun of our pain.
And
Right.
quick with it, too. Quick.
Very, very, very. But you know, I think it's a thin line with that, right? Like we do it as a survival strategy, but I think the internet kind of picked up on it as I mean, it's just like views, trying to be funny, comedy. You know what I mean? Like it's just something to do, right? It's just another thing to get people watching, another way to get more views to your shit. Ain't nobody else listening to no other song from these niggas, but that shit went viral, right? So, and another example though is kind of like that Carly was, and I'm always making sure I'm trying to say her name right, Carly Russell, right?
Carly Russell.
The Carly Russell situation and how that conversation like started and what it ended up turning into, which Toya, you can speak to a little bit more than me because better than I can, because like I said, I was tapped out.
If you are, I mean, really, this got elevated to national news, so a lot of people at least know something about what happened. But a young lady in Alabama got off of work, went and grabbed some food, was driving down like the 457 or something like that in whatever city she is, whatever town she's from in Alabama, and then called 911. Said after calling a couple other people, some family, some whatever, some relatives, it was like saw a baby walking down the side of the freeway. I don't know what's going on. Reports say she stopped, check on the child. She's nowhere to be found. The child nowhere to be found. By the time the police get there, her wig's there, her phone's there, whatever. Fast forward a week, less than a week, we now have the audio. They also found, most importantly, she made it home safely, right? She was missing. Nobody knew where she was. The suspicion was that human trafficking got her, that she was baited by the child, and that somebody snatched her, took her away. She randomly returned back home, I think maybe Saturday or Sunday. And from there, the investigation began on what happened. As recently as I think yesterday, day before, the audio from the 911 call was released. It was found out that she did some different Google searches of like how old you got to be to have an Amber Alert and one-way bus tickets to this, that, and the other, and a whole bunch of suspicious things. right, that don't really jive with her story, on top of the fact that nobody is suspected of her kidnapping that we know about, right? That's not really the conversation the police are having. And so,
Also, there was no evidence or any record or any type of recording of any children in that same area at that time.
yeah,
So
Hoover, Alabama, is what Dapper Gent said. So that whole thing has spurred into a lot of people going from save black women, protect black women. We know that there is an epidemic of black women missing in this country, I think to the tune of over 13,000. We know that human trafficking in general in this country is at an all-time high. And so a lot of people like, we gotta find her. We don't know what's happening. Save your judgment, save whatever. Because it went from where she at, to people even before the investigation was over was like, nah, she hiding, she dipping, she got another boo thing, she done found some other business, she taking a vacation. And then now, and since that the details have come out, that energy was not being kept. Save black
right,
women, trust black women, all of that, you know what I'm saying, listen to, protect black women. Now that general theme is gone because one black woman who, listen, and I don't, a lot of people are like, well, the investigators and detectives didn't say it was a mental health issue. They said it wasn't related to mental health. You are not mentally healthy if you set up and devise a plan like this to get the attention of everybody. You're not mentally well,
yeah,
right? Just psychologically and emotionally, there is a
you're not right in the head.
and how things are, you know what I'm saying? I don't have a diagnosis, I don't have a projection, but you're dealing with things, right?
Right,
So this is a mental health issue, and these are the same society, the same timelines that are all in about mental health and care about that shit just as much. But this black woman has this experience. She captures the attention of a nation. Resources are used. Unfortunately, outcome wasn't what it was supposed to be, and then the whole world turned against her, right? Or at least that's what it feels like from this perspective. And so
right.
a lot of that is reflective, you know what I'm saying, of what this whole category is about, just in terms of how we're dealing with her situation, her issue.
Also, I want to add though, I feel like what's even more frustrating about how this conversation turned out is that, like Mark Lamont Hill said here, instead of making jokes or feigning embarrassment, let's commit to finding the hundreds of thousands of black women and girls who remain unfound and ignored. Because I think that's the overarching thing, right? Because it's just like people were trying to use this as an example to say when he talks about feigning embarrassment. Turn around and be like, see, this is why white people do da 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 da, and this is why white people da 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 da. This is why they don't believe us now. No, this is not why they don't believe us now. They never believed us in the first place. They don't care.
You know what I mean? Like, what world are you living in? And you not believing black women is a personal problem that you need to work out. So you're not worried about them. You're worried about you.
Exactly. And you're using social media to be a terrible person and thank you, just expressing how, again, if you don't like black women, just say so. Let's not do the whole getting the moral high ground, be logical, prove a point type shit, because you really you manipulating, skewing reality to fit your fucked up worldview, right? You trying to say I don't fuck with black women but not say I don't fuck with black women, right?
By acting like you worried about them not fucking with black women. You ain't that invested.
Is not that invested at all. And another tweet that we came on that was important about this too is Machine Pun Kelly said the only reason I are about the whole Carly story. Am I reading that right? The only reason I are about the whole Carly story is that white supremacists are going to Jussie Smollett her. Am I saying his name right? Is it Jussie Smollett?
That's how George says it. His name is Jussie Smollett. The tweet says the only reason I care about the whole Carly story is that the white.
Oh, that's supposed to be I care. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm dumb.
The only reason I care about the whole Carly story is that white supremacists are going to Jussie Smollett her, and every time a black woman is a victim of a crime, they're going to scream about her, right? So they're going to get caught up in what happened here and use it as a justification to not act on another black woman's behalf, to not stop everything they're doing and invest energy and resources and find a black woman that are already missing. And so scapegoating, right, is the ultimate fear that this will then become a justification to not act in our behest and to move quickly and rapidly and elevate. And, you know, this story in the ways that it should be. It's another thing that's important to note about her particular story too, that also makes it scary. And that is, she comes from a very particular class. A lot of people are arguing that the reason why she got as much buzz and static as she did was that she wasn't this old beat down, grungy Black woman. She comes from a middle class background. She's college educated. She is either in nursing school or is a nurse. Right. And so a lot of people talked about the fact that in this particular instance, she was the right type of Black person to really garner. She was the right type of victim. Right. There wasn't a chance that she was off on drugs or that she was, out partying with somebody, but they were able to spin kind of the story in that narrative that way. And so there's a lot of intersecting things about this story to be unpacked, but the conclusion shouldn't be, she lied, ha, these blanks ain't to be trusted, F them all. This is just, you know what I'm saying, part for the course. This is what they do.
Right.
Nah, not the energy the situation needs.
All right, so we getting ready to close this one out. Or not close it out. We got a couple more. Number 2.
We getting to the bottom of our list though. Number two. What's the second most terriblest thing that the internet has led us to do, or that has influenced who we have become?
We have been taking terrible advice from terrible people.
Period.
The internet has us taking terrible advice from terrible people, and we are in turn doing terrible things based on that terrible advice. In this day and age, everybody's an expert.
See the thumbnail.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
why
It's
we
the reason why
chose
them.
the thumbnail.
Exactly. It's the reason why we picked that thumbnail, because first on the terrible advice from terrible people shit, right? Like people like Charleston White, people like Andrew Tate, people like Umar Johnson, people like the Fresh and Fit podcast. All of these.
Who's the OG, the grandfather of all? We can't go without you saying the fave's name. What's his name?
Kevin Samuels. Samuels.
Yeah, I'm gonna say rest where you rest, Kevin Samuels. I'm gonna tell you how to rest. Rest where you rest.
Rest where you rested, right? And, all of these people give terrible advice under the guise of trying to help.
Mm-hmm.
They have some of the worst skewed and destructive and dangerous perspectives on relationships and gender and just like people in general, but people sit at their feet and listen and learn, and then they point at you and they tell you that the only reason that you don't like what Charleston White says, the only reason you don't like what Tommy Sotomayor says is because he's telling the truth.
Come on.
You just don't like the truth.
You just don't like the truth.
You just want to make excuses. Or as they said, Kevin Samuels, you're just a simp. Right? It's all of these. Any intelligent mind can look at what these people say and what they espouse. Charleston White.
Come on.
These are the same people telling you that
them niggas and I hate them niggas. I hate them niggas every time I see them. Every time I see them, when they look like they in my neighborhood, you're not supposed to be here. So I call the police and say, I see these niggas in my neighborhood, and they don't live around here. I'd like you to come and check them out. Because I'm a law-abiding citizen. I pay my bills. I pay my taxes. And I just don't see no reason why these niggas, literally, I don't know if I sound like Uncle Ruckus or Charleston White in this moment, but it sounds familiar.
Is there a difference? No. Charleston White is somebody who claims to care about black people while he wears Confederate flags on his neck. Y'all are taking relationship advice from niggas who can't maintain a relationship. Single niggas.
I think and let me tell y'all, it's because I don't know if y'all saw, it's a viral video floating around, because these niggas got sons, they got disciples, right? So we know the Passport Bros been Passport Bro. We told y'all, had a whole show about the Passport Bros and how they going over there being broke. They driving up the market because you taking them on $100 dates, and that ain't how the economy works over here, man. So now this girl's expecting me to take her on a $200 date because that ain't beefing. Now, most recently, and if the circumstances were different, I would feel sad for this man, but I don't feel sorry for him at all. It's a video of a Vietnamese woman and a dark-skinned 6'4" black man floating around on Twitter. And I guess the situation was, while him and the girl, he's like vlogging and talking to her, because while him and the girl was like, I guess somewhere in public or whatever, she basically told whoever she was talking to that he was ugly, like big and ugly. And he sat her down and was like, why would you sit up here basically and let them call? Why would you joke about that? Like, that's not funny to me. And she's like, in my culture, that's how we joke, we talk, he, whatever, whatever, whatever. Well, it was clearly shading this man. And so he like, but that hurts my feelings. Like, you don't understand that, from my perspective, I'm already the sticking out like a sore thumb. I'm this big black man walking around. I'm 6'4", and now you letting people call me ugly and call me this, that, and the other. It hurts my feelings. And all I could do is sit there and say, look at that bed you made. Look at you having to lay in it. You fetishize, and somebody pointed this out in the tweet. You fetishize this Asian woman, and because you thought you was gonna get a certain type of docile, timid, scary pushover of an Asian woman that was gonna make your world amazing and not give you no stress, and you fell for that. So you fell down that rabbit hole, and just like that, now she up here making stereotypes and fetishizing you to the people that she know, because now you just this big black ugly man. Like, I think she was calling him ugly too. And all I could do was sit there and say, nigga, I can't even feel sorry for you because you played yourself. What they say about Stupid Games Club? Tell me what they said about them Stupid Games?
Stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Da-da-da-da. Hope you enjoy it. Enjoy playing with that thing, because like nobody can feel sorry for you. But this is because you listen to fools. This is because you listen to terrible people telling you to do terrible shit. Telling you to do terrible shit. They telling you to be mean. They telling you to be hurtful. They telling you to be demeaning. They telling you to be disrespectful. And then that's because you want to help black women. Stop. Basil said it's a prime example of a self-fulfilling prophecy. They hear what they want to hear. In other words, they sit in the echo chamber, right? They sit around people who just confirm the same dumb shit that they hearing. They say, yep, you sure right. And now, look at you. Like, you have no ability to think for yourself, and now you're just reverberating the same toxic bullshit around each other. It's just like when you share a code, right? It's like when somebody in your house is sick and then it just bounce around and y'all just flip it a couple times. Like, you look stupid.
Right. J Universe said it's the lack of education and parental guidance and probably a few other things. I got nephews that came across Tate and the Passport Bros. I had their parents ban YouTube immediately. Yeah. I mean, it's a reason why Andrew Tate is literally being indicted for human trafficking right now. Like, and all they've had to use is how he talks about what he does with women on podcasts. Like, he bragged about setting them up in like acting like they're his girlfriend just to then get them to do cam stuff, and then after you get them to do the cam stuff, now you working, right? That's literally grooming, bro. You know what I mean?
He not paying them. He not doing he keeping withholding, abusing them, all types of crazy stuff. All type of crazy
shit. And this is who y'all trying to take relationship advice from. This is who you want to help you understand women. Stop it. Right? Y'all take some terrible advice from terrible people, and it's making y'all terrible people. And then also, I ain't gonna spend too much time on it because I know but people who talk about health shit, like people that try to tell you about vaccines don't know shit about vaccines. People who try to tell you about GMOs don't know shit about GMOs. Niggas be trying to tell you 5G is killing you. All of that type of shit, right? Shout out to Gwyneth Paltrow.
There was a video of a black man floating around a couple weeks ago because everybody's in love with seeded watermelons. I want a seeded watermelon. I ain't eating them GMO watermelons. If I need my seeds, I need my seeds. And this old black man, I forgot where he's from. I think he might have been from Texas, but broke it down and said, ain't no Jamaica. He's literally said he sell his watermelons at the farmer's market and had to go to making pamphlets because he had so many people coming up to him talking about do your watermelons have seeds? I don't want no GMOs. He said, baby, it's not GMOs. It's about how you crossbreed and how you breed them. I forgot. I'm no scientist, but he was like, you take a mama and a daddy with seeds, and I think a mama and a daddy without no seeds, and you put the mama and you get one batch, and then you go replant them and get it. But
it's farming. It's botany.
It took me back to alleles and damn, the Punnett Square science class. Took me back to middle school, high school. Makes perfect sense to me, right? In the sense that this is a man who is not in a laboratory. He's just making an honest living, selling a fruit that black people have perfected selling for generations. That's the reason why we get the negative stereotype of watermelons, is because we were selling them. Right. And white people decided to flip and subvert that image of niggas.
We was actually eating off of it. We was eating off selling watermelons.
Making money, right? And decided to make it a negative connotation with us. So I know he got generations of knowledge about that. And it's shit like that it's just like, bro, you listening to the wrong people, but because there's so much information everywhere, you look like a fool. You don't really know what you think you know because we saying stuff that's trendy.
Yeah, I was just about to say, J Universe said it in the chat. I was just about to say this too. Everything is modified.
Yep.
Everything. Like, you
Don't like
can't.
broccoli.
Ancient, like, old watermelon isn't edible. Like, the way a watermelon used to be, it's not edible. Bananas too, right? They weren't edible. It's through manipulation of, like, you know, farming practices that we get edible fruits, and, you know what I'm saying, like watermelon and bananas. So stop listening to people who don't know what the fuck they talking about. It's really making us terrible people out here. So that is number 2. So before we get to number 1, let's recap the list.
Yeah.
Before we get to number 1, let's recap the list. For number 7, we got oversharing, too much information. All right. Telling people way too goddamn much. Way too goddamn much. Letting them in way too close. For number 6, virtue signaling. We get it. You care, right? We get it. You're progressive. We get it. You like black people. Got you. Number 5, fake outrage, fake empathy. We get it. You don't really care. You don't really care. You just looking for somebody to trying to get the high horse and beat up on somebody. Number 4, thinking deeply about shallow shit, right? Trying to have a deep debate and conversation about some shit that really ain't ankle deep. You know what I mean? You don't drown in the shallow waters.
Drown in it.
Number 3, lack of empathy. Internet don't take shit serious. Everything is a joke. Everything is to be laughed at. And while sometimes it is funny, it's not appropriate. It's not
Should
right.
be going too far.
Right. And number 2, everybody's an expert, and we constantly get terrible advice from terrible people telling us to do terrible things, right? So that's 7 through 2. These are all the things that the Chop Up has identified as the things that are making us bad people, that's hurting our society.
Yeah.
Number 1, drum roll, please. The number 1 reason why social media is making us bad people, celebrity worship.
Yeah.
If you've heard me say it once, you've heard me say it a million times. These people are not your friends. These people don't know you. They don't care about you.
Come on.
They make a product that they sell you, and you are attached to that product. You are not attached to them. So all the beehives and all the Barbies and all whatever Cardi B people are called, and
the
whatever
Barty Gang and the Rihanna Navy.
the Rihanna, all of that.
And listen,
all of that.
I'm gonna tell you right now, these niggas don't got names of their fan clubs because that'll make you gay. Refer back to thinking too deeply about shallow shit.
Man, actually, they do. I ain't gonna get into it because it's a lot of shit that niggas. I ain't gonna get into it, but
it's not generally cool to have these little cutesy names. But trust me,
Right.
It's men. Everybody is out there going OD on their favorite celebrity. So don't let these men sit up here and treat you like, oh, y'all care about all this. No, they be deeply invested in their faves and they can tell you everything about Young Thug and that Rico case. They can tell you everything about
everything.
They can read you the riot act on why 6ix9ine ain't shit. They can tell you everything about why Future is that nigga. Like, they got it all. So
All of it.
I don't want to know King Von, them, Dirk. They know everything about the Chicago beef. I ain't never been to Chicago. We'll tell you front to back what's going on with the violence down there.
And where I get frustrated the most is the over identification, right? Like, what really pissed me off about the Jada Pinkett, Chris Rock, Will Smith debacle.
Yeah.
Was somehow people was making this a conversation about Will Smith protecting black women. I don't know. Last time I checked,
Yeah.
like the Oscars, they had a lot of security. When nobody in danger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Will Smith getting up there smacking that man, smacking somebody who was smaller than him, right? And I get it. People was talking about, he was making fun of his wife. It was a question of respect. That's what you're supposed to do for your woman. I want a man to do this for me. Da 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 da. But people, that was Will Smith.
Yeah.
Women get niggas fucked up on the daily, putting niggas in situations where they don't have the protection that Will Smith had. Mm-hmm. They don't have the protection, nor are they in the proper environment to where they'll be able to walk away like Will Smith was able to walk away, whether it be police or the repercussions of the environment. So attaching ourselves to these celebrity and what's the other one, the most recent one that happened?
Keke Palmer.
Keke
Everybody
Palmer.
was all over that. That's the most recent. Everybody got something to say. Everybody's weighing in. How dare she? How dare we? How dare he? Really, in terms of her, I think boyfriend, not husband, Darius, and the comments he made about what she wore to the Ursha show and how she responded
Right.
to Ursha, giving her kind of, they had a little banter and back and forth, and social media blew up because I mean, really, it's his fault. He kind of let us in to the conversation.
Yeah,
about
because
being
he
like,
shouldn't have posted that
you're
shit.
a mom. You're a mom. But then that opened up the floodgates to everybody having something to say about their relationship. Everybody then having the thinking deep about shallow shit in terms of, you know, trying to pick and choose what women should categorically do and what men should categorically. Everybody's situation is, you know, what it is. You don't know the backstory. You don't know the conversations. You don't know the cell phone interactions. You don't know nothing about these people. But everybody went off the deep end with it. Another thing, and it's like, this is why I knew very soon that I could never be a girl's girl, and really this time of the era, like of social media, I can't do it. I don't know who is it? It's Ari, and then it's all of these wives, all of these rapper partners and baby mamas.
Oh
and what they
yeah,
do,
yeah.
and
Rappers
they
marrying singers and having kids with yeah.
Bruh, I can't keep up. I don't know about none of that shit. I don't know these people. If you're not on the mic, I don't know your name. I don't know why I would know what you do or how much your purses cost or how much your bags cost or whatever. But it's just people are deep off in those conversations. We also talked about, you know, the Beehive and really the Barbs and all of them. They are mean people. They talk crazy to each other in comments. They stalk people. They dox people. They do all.
They really
types of
fight
shit
like in real life.
on
Yeah.
real life on behalf of these artists whom hand they never shook, whose tickets they can't afford to go and participate in, and they have their whole personality, much like these Trumpites, right? Much like, and so it's just really weird. The cult of post personality strikes again, and we have people who are just in love with their lives. And you know, the other dark side of this is we end up treating celebrities like they not people. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, these folks got the same Twitter, the same. And I know you thinking, like, I mean, you can cry, little superstar. You can go cry in the bins. You can go to cry in the mansion. You can, you know, be sad.
Tyrese.
But when it's all said and done, I think these strikes that we seeing in the entertainment industry show these people ain't nearly as rich as we think they are. Number one, and they are not invulnerable to life really being really very terrible about them. And imagine, you know, we go through bad shit and we get to do it in private. You know what I'm saying? We go through bad shit and we get to choose. We make strategic decisions not to make sure the social media know. Whatever. These people be trying to live their life, and because somebody was nosy or shared something or TMZ got in the mix or whatever, now some shit that they tried to keep close and play close is everywhere.
It's
And we
now
talking about it.
everybody business. Yep.
And so it's rough. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
just as a compassionate person, I get, you know what you signed up for and stuff like that. But I think that in this social media age and era, different than other generations before, how we get a hold of certain information. I mean, think about Kobe Bryant and Vanessa Bryant. She had to sue because niggas went to the bar and was like, I saw Kobe dead, cooked, messed up, just whatever. But they were
She had to
using that
sue.
problematic language. They're showing pictures on their cell phones. And she had to sue for damages because imagine somebody just, you know, being on the scene of a crime and then taking your shit and running
And just being that just haphazard and insensitive is crazy. Especially for the GOAT, man. Especially for the GOAT.
We end up being terrible ass people doing terrible ass things. And it is under the guise or the helm of celebrities. It's under the blind leadership. What somebody said, false idols is what Vance called them.
Yeah.
And we end up we worship them. We pay attention to everything they do. We know what these people eat. We know what they care about. And I mean, whatever. But to an extent, that shit is weird. And especially the older you get. Oh, that's the last thing I'll say. The older you get, the more peculiar that shit is. Like, keep up with your fave, but some people just a little bit too deep.
Right. It's borderline stalkerish. But we're going to leave that one there because, you know, celebrity worship is one of the things that I like to rant on routinely. So I don't want to give up too much of the game right now. Now, I know we talked about the Ask the Chop Up portion, but we are about an hour and a half in the game. So
10 minutes.
10 minutes. So, transitioning to Ask the Chop Up. I don't know if Danielle's still in the chat or not. But we were. Go ahead, Toya. Set it up. The
Well,
question.
no, okay. Ask the Chop Up.
Yeah.
Make sure y'all hit up at the Chop Up Show on Instagram to drop different articles, different things happening to talk about. If we got something to say about it, we will. We can't talk about everything, as y'all know, but we will try to go ahead and have a discussion about it. Dapper Gent, who was in here and dropped a lot of clarifying details for us about the Carly Russell situation because he's representing Alabama, was like, what do y'all think about this Trotted in a Small Town song by Jason Aldean? Now, if you don't think about Jason Aldean, you know he's a country singer who was at what was the name of that hotel in Vegas that was the site of the largest mass shooting, I think, in American history, right? Where we had that
Yeah,
mass
yeah, at the
shooting.
concert, yeah, in
Yeah, I
Vegas.
can't remember the name of it. And it's on the
Stagecoach.
Huh?
Stagecoach. It was called Stagecoach.
That was the name of the event for sure. And the name of the hotel, I can't remember, is right off the highway when you drive into Vegas from California. But was there for that tragic event. And with coming out with this song, Try That in a Small Town. And y'all should go listen to it and you know, develop your own opinions on it. But a lot of people are criticizing it because they say it has a lot of little dog whistles in it. That it's a cute song about country living and basically about sticking up for, you know, a lot of stuff that's happening in big cities, looting and robbing and these big protests and all this wokeness, basically, if you will, all of this. But even more so like the crime, the just crazy stuff. Like, you ain't finna come out here and do that in the country because we band together, we stick together, we are a unified front. However, in the video is shot at the site where lynchings used to happen in Hoover, Alabama. There are specific images of Black Lives Matter protests being demonstrated as things that are not allowed in their town. The kind of deep anti-woke messaging that's in it is very strong. And then a lot of people are saying that the whole dog whistle for keep that in, you know, not in our town, or try that bullshit in the small town is like almost like, you know, y'all go back to them Democrat-led cities and states. That's the favorite talking point of conservatives these days. Is the reason why homelessness and crime and whatever every problem is it's a Democrat controlled.
But it's worse than conservative states. But you know, we're not gonna do that.
You know, but it's just a little bit too obvious, and so a lot of people are frustrated about the video. What is your take, Plug, on Jason Aldean on shooting this video, on the context of the song? Like, what's your vibe?
So I'll say this: CMT removed the video from rotation because the courthouse is like you pointed out was the scene of a horrific lynching of an 18-year-old who's accused of raping a white girl, which is this was kind of par for the course at that time in those places. And so for him to be on the truck talking about what they want and what they willing to do and all of that other shit, you know, CMT kind of recognized that may be a little tone deaf. This is my thing though, and when you first sent it to me, as I told you, I'll say it in front of our audience as well. I tried to listen to it, but I couldn't. Not a fan of country music at all. I have an aversion to it, and especially country music that attempts to have some type of woke mess, or not. I won't even say woke, but like conscious or elevated or political, right? It's not just singing about my baby and I'm singing about you singing about the world and the country, you know what I'm saying, and all of that other shit. Once you start getting political in country music, it always goes. I was gonna say left, but it goes right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Get it. Right. It always goes. It's extremely right. And so for me, I think this is just another case of I don't think country music can talk about social issues without ended up being racist because of the ethos of it, like the messages that those people care about. Like it's hick white people. It's hick off-brand rhythm and blues, right? It is country-fied, you know, beer battered chicken compared to southern fried golden brown fried chicken. You know what I mean? It's that difference. And so because of where they operate from, they can't help it. There's always gonna be some shit. It's the music is anti-black, right? The country singers have always been racist. They canceled the Dixie Chicks just because they was against how like the war in Afghanistan, right? They were for peace, right? Canceled the Dixie Chicks for that type of shit. Like these is just
gotta look out of there.
Yeah, country singers is like country music is just not the type of music for a progressive thinking individual, right? And so, like, I'm not surprised. It reminds me of the Brad Paisley, LL Cool J incident.
The accidental racist.
The accidental racist.
That was a peculiar time.
Foolishness. And so, yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
You can expect more stuff like this in the future. They're gonna try to stand up for. Well, we're just standing up for our country or our culture. We're standing up from what we believe in. Yeah, and at the foundation of that is racism. So as long as you're standing up for that, you're standing up for some form of anti-blackness. So have at it.
My take on it, and I'll be quick, is and Jason Aldean released a statement and was like, "Oh, basically y'all reading into some shit that's not there. Like y'all reaching. Like this is just an innocent song about a country boy from a country place who is just talking about unity, and it's a beautiful message there. But y'all don't want to see that. Y'all want to over politicize everything." And I think the trouble with that is the whole idea of try that in a small town ignores the baggage and the racist history of small towns.
Small towns, yes.
Small towns have also historically been called what? Starts with an S.
Sundown towns.
Yes.
My university, the University of Oklahoma, Norman, Oklahoma.
You have to navigate
sundown
these
town.
towns by using a book called the Green Book, right? Historically, like those are the towns you don't go to. So a lot of black people, a lot of queer people don't get benefits from those towns, right? They don't benefit from being in those places. There's not a lot.
You know who really enjoy being in them places? Backwards ass white men.
Very much so, right? And so I think that in a sense it's important storytelling, using the music to allow for people to connect with you, to have those rally points, to have those messages that soothe and speak to people's experiences. All that shit is important. That's why music is good. That's why we love music, is I think of people. However, you do got to hold that back when it comes to you being responsible for what it communicates and how people will deploy it and use it. You know what I'm saying? Like it was whole people, I forget what song, but that, Donald Trump was playing at a lot of his rallies and they was like, cease and desist, do not play my shit there, because I know why I wrote it, and how when you use it, it means a certain thing to your people and it communicates a certain vibe and energy that the song was never created for. The issue with this song, Try That in a Small Town, is it gives a certain group of people, it emboldens them. It gives them something to rally behind it. What you didn't mean, they mean by that shit. So maybe you didn't mean sundown town. Maybe you didn't mean no protest. Maybe you didn't mean, we are more of a Blue Lives and a Black Lives Matter place. Maybe that's not what you meant. But that's how a whole lot of somebody's gonna take
That's how it will be utilized.
That's gonna be their battle song. That's gonna be their battle cry. That's gonna be what gets them going. That's gonna be their new January 6th.
And he probably okay with that. He probably okay. The whole y'all just want to politicize. That's what all racists say about discrimination. Period. Oh, y'all just looking into something that's not there. Yeah, that's why even amongst the Supreme Court, discrimination in the form of race is always held to the highest scrutiny. So,
hey,
he believes that shit.
I mean, good luck to the man's, with his new anthem. It's election season coming up, so I'm sure there are gonna be some people in the South using that as their song for their meetings and where people gather and they have their battle against wokeness and they do whatever. Maybe a big presidential candidate's not gonna use it, but I guarantee you it's gonna be at the rallies of a lot of people in those places who want to get those folks charged up. And so it's sad. It's predictable. But
very,
sad. And
very.
Just kind of proof that while you say we politicize and make everything political, y'all politicize and everything else too. We have.
Yeah.
So hey.
Right. I mean, even
Kamala Harris. My bad. Go ahead.
I was just saying, even including like black protests and saying like that type of imagery. Yeah, you know what you're doing. But go ahead.
Shout out to Dapper Gent for sending us that. Like we said, y'all know how to get in touch with us. Send us stuff over at the Chop Up Show on Instagram. We're going to get to this Kamala Harris conversation that Danielle was talking about when we talk about politics again, probably next week sometime. So we know she made some recent comments and has been scrutinized for what she's been talking about in terms of the state of Florida and what they're doing to black education specifically. So we're going to put a pin in that one and save that for when we come back a little bit later.
Right, and so with that being said, man, we'd like to thank y'all for joining us for this conversation. Hopefully y'all go back. If y'all missed anything, check out the whole episode. Check out the list. Again, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel if you're not. If you came through and didn't hit the like button, you owe us a like and a comment. Right? If you came through and did hit the like button, you still owe us a comment. Tell us what you thought about it, how you felt. Everybody that came through and was a part of the conversation in the chat, J Universe, Columbus, Vance, Lois pulled up, J Universe, yeah, all of y'all, Frederick, everybody that chimed in, appreciate y'all for again helping the channel grow, man. We fuck with Chop Nation tough. We know y'all fuck with us.
There's
So
no
with
winter.
that,
Shout out to all of y'all.
Dinah, all y'all. So with that being said, be on the lookout. We'll probably do some, later in during the week before Thursday, possibly. We'll let y'all know, but y'all will definitely see us. Ooh, actually, will they see us Thursday, Tweet?
Talk about it, figure it out. Yeah. Oh, we need to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it, figure it out. We'll let y'all know.
Yeah. Conscious Lee will be in town. We're all doing a family Disney trip. Lee, myself, my child, Toya, Lee and his
I ain't got
wife,
no kids,
they
but I'm
family.
gonna go. I ain't got no kids, but I'm gonna go. I ain't got no children, but I'm in the mix. It's like
Yeah, we got a whole Disney excursion lined up to kick it and bring the park. So we'll let y'all know if we be here Thursday. If not, we'll be here earlier getting it in. Y'all know how we like to do anyway. But yeah, with that being said, we out. This the Chop Up. We will see y'all next time.
peace.